Rosalind Franklin, whose full name is Rosalind Elsie Franklin, was a British scientist who was best known for her contributions to the discovery of the molecular structure of deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, an element of chromosomes that is used to encode genetic information. She was born on July 25, 1920, in London, England, and passed away on April 16, 1958, also in London. Franklin also made significant discoveries on the composition of viruses, which worked on developing the study of structural virology. Franklin attended St. Paul's Girls' School before enrolling in Newnham College, University of Cambridge, to study physical chemistry. She earned a fellowship to study physical chemistry at Cambridge after earning her degree in 1941. The advent of World War II, however, forced a change in her line of action. In addition to her employment as a London air raid warden, she also gave up her fellowship in 1942 to join the British Coal Utilisation Research Association, where she studied the physical chemistry of coal and carbon for the war effort. She was still able to use the study for her dissertation thesis, and in 1945, Cambridge awarded her a doctorate. She studied X-ray diffraction technology at the State Chemical Laboratory in Paris from 1947 to 1950 while working with Jacques Mering. Her investigation into the structural alterations brought on by the creation of graphite in heated carbons was sparked by this work, and the findings were helpful to the coking industry. Franklin began working as a research fellow at King's College in London's Biophysical Laboratory in 1951. There, she used X-ray diffraction techniques to investigate DNA. The chemical composition and structure of DNA were mostly unknown when she started her study at King's College. Yet, she quickly identified DNA's density and, more significantly, proved that the molecule existed in a helical configuration. Her efforts to improve the clarity of DNA molecule X-ray patterns served as the inspiration for James Watson and Francis Crick to postulate in 1953 that DNA is a double helix polymer, a spiral made up of two DNA strands looped around one another. Franklin worked at Birkbeck College in London's crystallography laboratory from 1953 to 1958. She finished her work on coals and DNA while there and started a project on the molecular makeup of the tobacco mosaic virus. She worked with researchers to conduct investigations that revealed the ribonucleic acid, RNA, of that virus was embedded in its protein rather than in its central cavity, and that this RNA was a single-strand helix as opposed to the double helix found in the DNA of bacterial viruses and higher animals. Rosalind Franklin, who worked at King's College London with Maurice Wilkins, had a tense relationship with some of her co-workers, making her research on the structure of DNA controversial at the time. One of the most contentious issues surrounding Franklin's work was her relationship with James Watson and Francis Crick, who notoriously exploited some of her data without her consent to build their own concept of the double helix structure of DNA. While Watson and Crick acknowledged Franklin's contributions to the area, formal recognition for her work was not given to her until after her death. The debate over whether Franklin ought to have given her colleagues broader access to her data surrounded her research in another way. Franklin's secrecy and overprotection of her data, according to some scientists, may have led to the misunderstandings and conflicts that developed between her and other researchers in the field. Notwithstanding these controversies, Franklin's contributions to the study of DNA and the area of X-ray crystallography have been generally acknowledged in the years since her passing, and she is now honored as a pioneering scientist and an advocate for women in science. Franklin published consistently over the course of her 16-year career, including 19 articles on coals and carbons, 5 on DNA, and 21 on viruses. She got a rising number of requests to speak at conferences all over the world in her final years, and if she had lived to continue her work on viruses, it's possible that she would have won honors and other forms of professional recognition. Franklin had an ovarian cancer diagnosis in the fall of 1956. She endured surgeries and other treatments over the following 18 months. During her numerous remissions, she continued to work in her lab and look for funding for her research team. On April 16, 1958, in London, she passed away.